Hi everyone, my name's Henry Banks. I work for the Customer Experience Group. I'm part of the Product and Innovation team. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the BI 4.1 upgrade value proposition. This is part one of this session, so the first 30 minutes is going to be taken up about the value proposition, and then the second half of this 1 hour session I'm going to be covering the client tools selection and how to choose the correct client tool for your use cases. So here we go. So I'm going to be explaining now the reasons why you should be upgrading to BI 4.1, and I'll be talking about the main value propositions at a kind of medium to high level. So first, some words about our perspective. So in our modern era, our organisations capture and store so much data. A lot of it seems redundant or underused. So, for example, we have customer data or social sentiment data, geospatial, or even data or log files from machine data, for example. These are just a few data types that are often overlooked. So this kind of dark data can actually offer huge potential and drive new opportunities if combined with what we typically hold in our data warehouses. So just looking at the infographic there on the left-hand side, so today we see roughly 10% of people in an organisation who have access to analytics. By 2020, so just a few years down the line, we predict that figure to rise to something like 75% of the organisation. So the question is, what will these users be doing? Well, first of all, we need to ensure that we make analytics useful to them. So as of now, currently, our organisations are missing opportunities because IT is not in a position to respond to the many and varied internal requests, and IT isn't able to innovate always in the way needed. So what we're seeing often in the market is that the business gets involved and creates shadow IT teams. They're often purchasing software at line of business or departmental level, and this further perpetuates data silos, which leads in turn to only more of this dark data. So coming back to the topic of BI and business intelligence, we need to govern that data more efficiently, connect it to our people using Agile development and methodologies, and collaborate cross-platform to drive this innovation together. And that's where the Business Objects BI piece comes in together. Just looking at some of the key trends and predictions on the BI horizon. So this year, 33% of BI was consumed on a handheld, which is a significant jump up from the previous few years. As per the analyst Forrester, 80% of our information needs or data requirements should be handled, in fact, by business users themselves. Otherwise, IT will just see a snowball effect of this increasing requests on their time, data, and reports from the business. So, yeah, we're hoping to move towards a mobile, pervasive BI organisation, and we're hoping to see end users driving their own reporting and data demands. Finally, the last chart on the right-hand side is just an illustration of the return on investment that you would expect as customers to see. For every dollar you spend on BI, it's been shown that you could get a return of $10. So I'm going to start drilling down into the specifics about the BI 4.1 platform, and this page here shows 3 key drivers for upgrading. Left-hand side first, your organisation needs to mobilise your information. So a lot of companies are now enabling mobile service for their workforce using these devices, and it's very simple to reuse your existing BI content, be they reports or dashboards, and push those onto mobile device. The central piece here, governance. Business Objects and BI, Business Intelligence, has always been about maintaining a single source of the truth, be that via a universe or a view, and then reusing that single source of the truth across your user base. The benefits of that, of course, you've got a single point of maintenance, a single BI system is your single point of support, and it's very easy, therefore, to onboard different users and use cases onto that single platform. Thirdly, finally, it's all about empowering more users. So in 4.1, we've significantly revamped the interfaces. So we have a friendly, standardized user interface across most of our tools now, which will help with user adoption. All in all, it's trying to make self-service innovations tantalizing to your business. So Analytics Solutions from SAP are uniquely positioned, and they're uniquely positioned to enable this concept of collective insight. So first of all, we do this by delivering an enterprise business intelligence solution, namely BI 4.1, which is the market-leading BI platform, and it's the backbone of our analytics portfolio. On the left-hand side, the purple quadrant there, we enable now Agile visualizations, and I'll talk about that in detail in a moment, which is to intuitively allow users to explore, discover, and then present data. The top right-hand quadrant there is going further still. We can now apply advanced predictive analytics, so this is statistical modeling, data mining, that kind of thing, to model and predict outcomes and probabilities. And then if you look at all the satellite stations around this graphic, we have here the big data framework. So needless to say that all of our applications can be integrated to SAP HANA as a real-time in-memory platform for applications. It's not just a database. And of course, this landscape supports multiple deployment options, including cloud, of course. And all in all, it drives collaboration and is fully integrated with SAP's mobile platform, securing both the data and the device. So to summarise here, before I moved into the technical details, just to summarise that really it's only SAP that can deliver in these three areas of enterprise BI and Agile visualization and advanced analytics. So this is a really great one-pager, this slide here about the value propositions for 4.1. So in a nutshell, I'm going to start top left here. So we deliver native and optimized HANA data access, and the same again, native and optimized data access for BW, the data warehouse. As I mentioned before, mobility is pervasive throughout. Any and all of the content from the BI platform can be surfaced to a mobile device. We don't discriminate. And the BI platform is an administrator's dream, actually. We offer new supportability tools, inbuilt monitoring tools, versioning for checking in, checking out, promotion management tools for lifecycle management between systems, and backup utilities to help reduce the total cost of ownership. We're also integrating and supporting all the latest and greatest innovations into the BI platform, to name but a few: Analysis, Office, Design Studio, and Lumira. A focus on quality. Well, BI 4.1 delivers all of the forward-fit code lines from previous releases. This is really the ultimate version, okay? And also our internal quality assurance and release procedures are much tighter. We also offer the tools to upgrade, migrate, and convert in one step or incrementally, and we also support legacy clients like Desktop Intelligence. More about that later. So now I'm going to step through some of those points that I showed you on the one-pager and just elaborate a little further. So HANA, as an accelerated database, has brought amazing performance gains to the adopters of this in-memory technology. So some of our analytics clients can connect directly to a HANA source, therefore simplifying and bypassing the BI platform as a processing tier and actually doing that in memory. Or otherwise, multiple HANA views, which are often very complex to the end user with technical names, can be brought into a multi-source universe using the business object semantic layer to merge multiple HANA views into a single version of the truth through a universe. And that helps with wider business adoption. And in many cases, the gains are so substantial that our HANA customers have once again seen real value in our traditional reporting clients like Web Intelligence and Crystal, and also Dashboards. On the topic of mobile, a lot of customers have been asking me, what's the effort involved for deploying mobiles in 4.1? Well, actually, it couldn't be any easier. The mobile servers are now natively embedded into the BI platform installer, so it's no longer an add-on. All of the analytical content from the BI Launchpad, with the exception of analysis, and I'll explain why in a moment, can be surfaced into a mobile device, be it Android or iOS, and also Windows. So the system integration has been much simplified, and we're supporting new devices and web app servers every release. With regards to business warehouse, data warehouse connectivity, so this is SAP's data warehouse, we've made big advances in the area of integration with the cubes and queries. We're now using the BI Consumer Service API, which means we get the native hierarchical representation. It's not level-based anymore like multidimensional expressions or MDX. We now no longer have a dependency on the NetWeaver Java stack, which used to be required in previous releases like XI 3.1 when we used to connect directly to those sources. And a huge amount of development effort has been made in the area of optimizing the fetches, the calls, that kind of thing. So we very much optimized the interoperability between BI business objects and business warehouse, particularly if you're a customer who's able to make the most of 7.3 or 7.4, for example. So we're very much focused on performance optimizations, and we do deliver both front and back ends tuning tips and tricks and parameters, including query stripping in the front end. In terms of reduced cost of ownership, I've mentioned cloud deployment is an option for some. So if you want to move your deployment into a private or public cloud and work off a subscription service, these things are options that are available to you. But in terms of the platform as is today, cost of ownership can be brought down by using multi-source universes. So this is the ability to bring in and merge different heterogeneous database vendors into a single universe. We also have utilities inbuilt into the CMC application now to enable hot backup. And I've mentioned already, we have monitoring functionality inbuilt, and that is actually extensible. So, if you've got Tivoli or other JMX-based monitoring clients, or perhaps Solution Manager or Wiley Intrascope, we can plug into all of those. Promotion management is also now embedded into the central management console, so that is natively within the product itself. And if going further, if you're using a transport management system, we also integrate with CTS Plus in the NetWeaver world as well. Other items worth mentioning, auditing engine, of course, has been much improved. It's very easy to report off the auditing schema. It's been revamped since previous versions. And we also enable parallel patching as well. Yes, so the platform in BI 4.1 is designed to support future innovations. Probably the most important differentiator with BI XI 3.1 is the fact that our hardware, or architecture, pardon me, is designed to support 64-bit hardware. So those crashing Webby servers, well, we can mitigate against that simply by the fact that they have more headroom now to consume memory if that's available on the platform. We also provide full support for VMware, virtualization, and we've gone as far as doing co-innovation research white papers with VMware, and those topics are available on SCN if you want to take a look. Needless to say that this new version of BI 4.1, the enterprise platform here integrates with the next generation clients, and I'll talk about these in a moment, such as Design Studio or the Analysis Suite, for example, Analysis Office or Lumira server. And our semantic layer continues to innovate to support the latest non-SAP vendors, and that would include some of the big data names that you're hearing about at the moment, including Hive and Elastic MapReduce. Also, the extension points are common between, for example, Webby and Lumira and Dashboard Designer, for example, for our charting engine. So if you're doing SDK in the area of the charting components, that effort is reusable and extendable. And also, in terms of our rendering technology, with the goal of pervasive mobility in mind, most of our client tools are HTML5 enabled, so that content can be easily consumed for mobile deployments. So without any doubt, BI 4.1 is the best quality BI release I've personally worked on since the late 90s. And in fact, there's a quote there from a FedEx customer saying the same thing too. I've mentioned already that all the code lines from past releases have been ported to 4.1, and we've got a new QA process, quality assurance, in our code development and maintenance teams, and we've got strict ramp-up exit criteria prior to product shipment. BI 4.1 is upgrade ready. We offer server tools to do the heavy lifting. This would be tools such as the upgrade management tool. And these have been improved over time and they are reliable, stable and optimized with BI 4.1. So we've learned from mistakes of the past of Import Wizard, for example. And we can go further now in 4.1 so that more advanced administrators can use command line switches to silently upgrade. Note that some of these workflows are restricted to Windows only. As of 4.1, we're now offering a compatibility pack which allows XI 3.1 desktop intelligence users to patch their clients and then save reports into the BI 4.1 repository. So we're offering some kind of backward compatibility here. Whilst this does not mean that Desky can be viewed online in the BI Launchpad, it does, however, allow the tool coexistence until such a time as the legacy desktop intelligence reports are converted to the new standards. So, not forgetting the real reason why our customers trust SAP. SAP has the vision and the ability to deliver this complete end-to-end analytics vision and integrate it within its existing solutions and extending that footprint. So SAP remains the market leader in analytics at this time, and we've got an astonishing install base of over 65,000 customers globally just for the BI piece, and an amazing 7,000 partners, implementation partners in our ecosystem. So that's why we're number one on our ability to execute and deliver. Okay. So I'm about 20 minutes in, and I'm about halfway or thereabouts in the session. I'm not going to look at the questions just at this time. I'm going to save those for the end. I'm just going to stay on track. So this is part 2 of my session, choosing the right tool. So I want to start with a short recap of our BI Analytics suite and how we SAP position our offerings. Across our customer base, we consistently see 3 core sets of BI requirements. A reporting piece, that's the square I've just brought up, dashboarding and applications, and increasingly Agile visualization. Within each of these requirement areas, SAP has products that are designed to meet the specific needs of our large and diverse customer base. Now, we have been told that there's been some confusion around this, so I'm hoping that I can shed some light on this. So our BI Analytics portfolio provides a number of solutions which are tuned for specific use cases. And these are the 2 paradigms that I'm offering to you. At the top here, professionally authored, and at the bottom, self-service. So top first. So on the one hand, we've got BI content, which is professionally authored in a development environment by IT type personnel. And that developer hides the complexity from the end user by using sophisticated design, data merging, and data governance. Once they've created said report or dashboards, that content is then authored, published, and externalized, and it's then consumed by a much wider audience in a productive environment, perhaps a portal or on device. The flip side of this paradigm, at the bottom here, is the notion of self-service. Now, the self-service use case, here the user base is empowered so that they can work directly with the data, both consuming and creating their own content to answer their own questions. So with a self-service use case, we are empowering the user to actually form and create their own content and answer their own business questions in a rather less formulaic, rather less spoon-fed manner. Okay, this is an animated slide which I hope will explain the way that the user personas or user types have a tendency to work within specific tool sets and responsibilities. So as before, we're going to consider reporting, dashboarding, and the data discovery piece as our three product group or product pillars, if you like. So the professionally authored content can of course be delivered across all three of these product groups, but the activities of a designer tend to be focused on creating either executive dashboards or canned or pre-configured reports. Now let's consider self-service, which again still applies cross products, but it typically means that a group of people called the decision makers consume content that has been professionally authored by the designer. Now on the left-hand side, there's a third person, the analyst. So in some cases we have these autonomous analysts who self-serve their BI and are agile enough to discover their own insights. So I'm going to build further on the previous three pillars concept. So this is going to be a data source agnostic view of our product offerings, and it will hopefully neatly show which applications satisfy which criteria. So Crystal Dashboards and Design Studio all fall firmly in the area of professionally authored content. Now, Web Intelligence does also deliver an on-demand reporting capability, which means that Web Intelligence can also be considered a self-service tool when used in the right way. On the left-hand side, we have analysts. We have analysts who would self-serve using tools like Analysis for OLAP and Explorer. But analysts would also author content using Lumira and Analysis Office, possibly for downstream consumption by end users and decision makers. For example, a Lumira report could become a Lumira board for the consumer. Equally, it could be an analysis view, for example, which is consumed by the decision maker. So now we're going to take some time to actually step through each one of these client tools that I've mentioned, and I'm just going to pull up on some of the key facts, and just as a refresher really, so that we understand exactly what we're talking about. So within a reporting use case, Crystal Reports, Crystal remains the client of choice for professionally authored pixel perfect reporting. It also has its own native drivers for direct connectivity to the databases. That is to say, you need not necessarily use the universe, although that is also a possibility. Crystal's excellently suited for operational reporting, be that form creation or whatever, and is especially useful for large-scale publishing, broadcasting, and printing. Furthermore, its APIs are also highly embeddable and customizable, which is why Crystal is so developer-friendly and a favorite with our OEM partner community. Web Intelligence. Web Intelligence reporting is the market-leading drag-and-drop reporting solution. As I've mentioned before, it straddles both the pre-delivered, professionally authored strategy, whilst also being able to deliver an ad hoc, self-service reporting use case with little or no technical training. The key to Web Intelligence is the way it builds on top of business objects semantic layer, shielding that complexity from the business user, whether you can merge multiple database sources from different vendors, either at universe or at data provider document level, without having to understand complex operators, syntax, and other things like that. Simply drag and drop. Now let's switch our focus to dashboarding tools. So this is Business Objects Dashboard Designer, previously known as Excelsius. So this is our classic dashboarding offering, and over the years it has been designed to scale with enterprise business intelligence. So we've got cache servers, we've got processing servers on the platform, for example. Again, the content for dashboarding is professionally authored by an IT designer to present, for example, executive KPIs in highly interactive dashboards with controls. Dashboard Designer can reuse all of the semantic and web service connectivities from the BI platform's common semantic layer, and it also includes an Excel-based staging area for VLOOKUPs and more logic besides. Still on the topic of dashboarding and applications, I'm going to switch my attention now to the next generation dashboarding offering, which is called Design Studio. So this application is a genuine technical authoring environment for creating advanced web and mobile applications. Its HTML5 runtime contains a very broad library of controls, including things like swipe, focus, and other touchscreen gestures that business users expect now on devices of that type. It was initially conceived as a BW-centric tool, and as such it's optimized for and can scale very well on OLAP and HANA sources. More recently, however, we've now included access to relational business objects BI universes. These can be consumed and modeled on as well. Moving now into the area of Agile visualization and data discovery. So this is Business Objects Explorer. Now, Business Objects came to the market many years ago with the then named Polestar Explorer, and the BI platform Explorer remains one of the leading data exploration tools. Its interface is mobile ready, looks great on an iPad, for example, and the application is automatically, geographically, and time hierarchy aware. Most of all, it's just easy to use, and its intuitive navigation allows end users excuse me, the ability to ask freestyle business questions on the fly. That is to say, they're not constrained by they're not constrained by a tabular layout. They have free-form data discovery through the data set. Okay, also native to the BI platform are the analysis offerings. And these come in two flavors. So we've got an Excel Office-based client, and we've got a web-based client. So we've got Analysis Office on one hand and Analysis Edition for OLAP on the other. Analysis Edition for OLAP exists natively on the BI platform, so it's a server-based tool, and Analysis Office can exist within PowerPoint and Excel. So analysis tools enable users to do a very specific kind of OLAP workflow. So we're talking about stepping through and slicing and dicing potentially huge multi-dimensional record sets containing hierarchical structures. We've had a lot of success in transitioning legacy BEX or Business Explorer users to this interface, this web interface. And we use Analysis OLAP also for browsing enterprise planning or financial consolidation cubes. Moreover, the web-based OLAP analysis tool can also consume non-SAP OLAP sources, including Essbase and Microsoft within the same environment. Okay, the latest offering now in the visualization space is the Lumira product. So this is part of a new refreshed direction for BI platform, as the market now demands more business-driven, agile BI, especially on top of big data. So Lumira offers initially, first, a desktop client for combining and merging those sources. You can also do cleansing routines or transformations in the data itself, and you can then author really engaging visuals into artifacts called storyboards or infographics, kind of like posters. These visuals can then be published onwards into your organization, kind of like dashboard-like artifacts, and you can consume those from Lumira Cloud or Lumira Server running on HANA, or in fact now even via the BI platform, via an add-on to Lumira Server. So I've mentioned three, or in fact four, products for this Agile visualization piece, and I thought it's worth me spending a little moment just to clarify the capabilities of the different tools. So if I start top down here, so both the desktop versions of Lumira and Analysis for Office offer powerful data merging and data mashup capabilities, and they also have very strong interoperability options for integration with other tools and platforms and clients downstream. Now, coming further down the chain, Analysis OLAP and Explorer also offer free-form data exploration capabilities, with Explorer arguably the simplest, actually, for onboarding business users, whereas Analysis OLAP is better positioned for data analysts who are familiar with the cube structures. Okay, so SAP has received feedback on numerous occasions over the years that its analytics portfolio is too confusing with too many tools. So to this effect, we've been open about our roadmap strategy, and we've also been quite clear on our priority focuses for the future. And over the next few years, we will be simplifying our offerings as we consolidate or integrate our clients. So what I'm trying to illustrate on this slide here is that the Lumira family will become the consolidation point for Lumira, Analysis and Design Studio products. These are going to transition into an integrated product family for next generation analytics. But for classic BI customers, BI4 customers, there's no reasons to be alarmed. We're not end-of-lifing or deprecating any products. The BI product continues its life cycle in parallel to Lumira as defined by the BI4 maintenance roadmap. I expect there'll be some questions about that afterwards. Okay, so I'm now going to go further into selecting the right BI client based in this occasion on product capabilities. Some of these slides are quite busy. Don't be alarmed. I'm not going to step through every possible eventuality on these matrix. I'm just going to pull out the key points. Okay, so when you're having discussions about selecting the right client, a good place to start is with the question, where does the data reside? Because we have products that play to different strengths. For example, we're seeing huge gains when using HANA as a data source, which means that it is favoured across clients, and that's where the little star indicates optimized. For BW access, we strongly recommend analysis tools for OLAP navigation and Design Studio for dashboarding. So I'll just repeat that. For BW NetWeaver access to cubes and queries, we recommend analysis tools for OLAP navigation and Design Studio for dashboarding. That's not to say that it's not possible to use a reporting client like Webby and Crystal on top of BW structures, but there comes a tipping point where we're trying to collide two paradigms, relational versus OLAP, and those reporting clients, their strengths are in relational. So to reiterate again, BW is of course supported with the other tools, but when doing so, IT would need to be very prescriptive and design reports very carefully and intelligently within a strong governance framework to make sure they perform to expectations. So Webby and Crystal on BW, yes, of course it works, but you need to be very prescriptive about what the users can do and how much data they can fetch, for example. So of course, relational RDBMS, excuse me. So relational RDBMS sources remain very much the forte for Webby and Crystal and Dashboard Designer. It's worth noting also that third-party OLAP sources are best consumed by analysis for OLAP, or they can be supported via a BI universe to the reporting tools. Wow, look at that for a slide. So when we're selecting the right client, we need to consider the product capabilities. So I'm just going to quickly step through the row headers, or the row items on the left here. So a highly formatted and highly parameterized reporting is very much the preserve of Crystal Reports. So my eyes here are just flicking onto the pie charts that have a lot of green coverage in them. Web Intelligence, the second column along, offers an ad hoc self-service reporting solution with broad workflows or interoperability to other clients, and it's very flexible in its design. Both Dashboards and Design Studio occupy a similar space, but Design Studio is optimized for multidimensional data and data sets with hierarchies. Now talking about the analysis clients, Analysis Office and Analysis Web or Analysis OLAP, they occupy a similar space, but the Office add-in might be favored by the power user who wants to merge queries on their desktop client. Now to two rightmost columns. Lumira and Explorer occupy a similar space, but Lumira offers more data cleansing and semantic enrichment capabilities for the power user. And Lumira is also architected for big data. Okay, so in many cases, our BW customers have very specific features in their BEX query design which they want to preserve and leverage. So this slide here is very much focused on SAP Business Warehouse, BW and BEX queries. And what we have here are features, very specific properties or features of BEX queries on the left-hand side and the usual matrix of tools across the top. So first, as a general statement, it's worth being aware that the APIs used for integration don't always offer an exact match to the native runtimes. Okay. So, for example, features like switching hierarchies, doing query navigation, or advanced operations on hierarchy member selections, these are best handled by the dedicated OLAP clients, i.e. Analysis Suite and Design Studio. So if your organization is going to be working primarily with BEX queries and in an OLAP slice and dice kind of use case, you firmly need to be using the analysis tools. Just as a side note, if you look to the right-hand side there, I've put in a couple of indents, Lum OK. So Lumira is now starting to see some evolution in the area of OLAP support. It's currently only Wave 1 implementation, and we can now support BEX queries and cubes via the BIX API, which connects directly in much the same way that Design Studio and Analysis Office have done in the past. We are now starting to see those features come into Lumira Desktop. Okay, now let's look at a decision matrix a different way. So we're going to consider where or from where is the content created. On the left-hand side of this slide, we have, in order, a desktop, a web browser, or a mobile device. So generally speaking, most BI content is authored, sometimes professionally authored, on a thick client or a desktop. So desktop applications, and after the content is created, it's then published to an enterprise server. However, we also have thin or web clients, which use a web browser, and it allows your power users or analysts or whoever it might be the ability to create ad hoc content via a web-based experience. So we do have some client tools, namely Analysis, OLAP, Explorer and Lumira, which allow your users the ability to create content through a web client. And not forgetting, of course, over on the right-hand side, Web Intelligence has a HTML or Java applet, which means that reports can be created and self-served in an ad hoc manner online through BI Launchpad. So as you can see here, for example, Crystal Reporting has no online editing capability. It's always a designer client. Same goes for dashboarding solutions. Now let's look at that decision matrix a different way. Consider from where is the content consumed. So this is the consumption of the content. Well, as you can see, our BI content can reach a huge audience because all of the content can be viewed not only on desktop but via a web browser. So we've got full coverage there. And in almost every case, these same artifacts, be they reports, dashboards, or exploration views, these can be surfaced transparently to mobile applications and viewed on BI mobile app on a device. I mean, one exception here is, for example, you can't see OLAP navigation on a device. It probably just wouldn't be possible, or it wouldn't make much sense because the type of deep data navigation that would happen, you could potentially be stepping through millions of records per click, that kind of experience wouldn't lend itself too well to an iPhone 5. It's really, that's the preserve of the desktop with lots of memory. Okay, so we're just in the last couple of slides now, and again, we're now going to be talking a little further about selecting the right client, but this time based on your audience. So let's consider who creates the content. Tools like Crystal Reports and Web Intelligence and dashboards are typically professionally authored by designers here on the left-hand side, row 1, in IT. So an IT designer, this sort of person, this persona, would be building Design Studio or dashboarding applications and authoring Crystal Reports and Web Intelligence reports for publishing to enterprise. Conversely, Analysis, Explorer, Lumira and Webby, that content is often authored by analysts. That is to say that the tools are simple enough or intuitive enough so that you don't have to be super technical or a coder developer to be able to create something meaningful and useful for the wider enterprise. Again, I've flipped it now. So we were asking who creates the content. Now we're asking who consumes the content. So broadly speaking, the decision makers and analysts consume much the same content. There isn't an awful lot of difference here. Perhaps the exception to the rule being that analysts would use Analysis OLAP or Analysis Office products, whereas executives really wouldn't. It's just too granular for them. That might not always be the case, though. Okay, so this is really important, this next piece that I'm going to conclude on. And again, we're going to make decisions about selecting the right client, but this time based on your business requirements. So the next 3 slides, and I'll be ever so quick on them, focus on specific requirements, and compares them to each of the product's capabilities. So I'm going to try and focus on some of the common gotchas or potential pain points or misconceptions. So looking over on the right-hand side at Explorer, the farmost column, from an SAP BW perspective, BO Explorer doesn't respect certain BEX query properties or advanced OLAP options. So you can see why there's some red colouring there. Looking at the dashboarding and Design Studio offerings, our dashboarding solutions don't have Excel-based viewers. It just wouldn't make any sense. You don't open a dashboard into Microsoft Excel. But it's worth making that clear because you'd be surprised what people ask. Okay, also, Explorer and dashboards don't offer much support for locally derived calculations, and also Explorer doesn't have, it can only interrogate one source at a time, for example. By the way, these are purely indications, broad brush indications, and I'd say if you're going to do a deep dive tool comparison, you should do this exercise for yourself from the ground up. So use this as a starting point on which to base discussions, but you need to do this assessment internally. Okay, so I've just switched to the second slide of the same matrix. So some of our products have offline capabilities, i.e. data is stored locally. That's the first row we're looking at here. Whereas tools like Design Studio, Analysis OLAP and Explorer, these need to be online for data access. They don't work offline. They need to fetch and call per navigation step. With regards to distribution or broadcasting, some of our products offer report bursting or broadcasting options to email, for example, and beyond. Again, this wouldn't make much sense for analysis tools, although to some extent it is possible to snapshot and broadcast analysis office workbooks through the BI platform now. When content is being consumed online, some of our tools offer online editing. So this is editing the report, the middle row. So some of our tools offer online editing, whereas other professionally authored tools are locked into a kind of read-only mode. For example, Crystal Reports and Dashboards or Design Studio. You can't edit those online once they've been productionized. Okay, and the bottom row here, when we consider the requirements, the ability to locally transform and enrich data, i.e. mash up and merging of data, this is best with products like Numera. Okay, last but not least, or almost one but last. With regards to data visualization, we use a common charting technology across our platform, our BI clients, CVOM, Common Visualization Object Modeler. That's why the charting engine seems familiar across tools now in BI 4.1. Line item number 3 here, all of our clients allow some level of guided navigation, either through open document or report-to-report interface, so that users can drill between report details or drill down to different details of report data. Thankfully now almost all of our clients are fully mobile enabled, especially now with this focus on HTML5. But again, in the case of analysis tools, there is no offline mode. And finally here, search functionality, searching on keywords or search on keywords, excuse me, as an entry point for your analytical work is a feature which is exclusive to Explorer and Numera. So I hope I've still got your attention after what's been quite a complex twisting and turning route through this presentation. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time now, just a few moments, just to pull up the key facts and what we've covered here. So in summary, your strategy should start with the business requirements, not with what you already have defined in your data warehouse. Too many times we get ourselves into situations where customers develop themselves into the corner, taking the tools to the absolute limits of its thresholds, because at the root of it, they were unable or unwilling or could not see past the requirements that the report is driving the requirements rather than the existing structure in the data warehouse. So you need to start by defining your requirements and your desired outcome. You should not let yourself be tied down to what has been done before or what is already existing. Focus on specific business pain points by area and deal with one use case after the other, not all at once. If you start simplifying too much and generalizing in broad strokes, you'll end up positioning the wrong tool for the job, and then the business will reject it anyway. So empower yourselves, understand the facts, the limitations, the pros and cons, and put forward a structured case and enable the business to get the analytical experience that they need or deserve and get the most out of your platform, because there's a wealth of tools there to meet their requirements. Understand your audience and let them describe their workflow, and make sure that you listen to that. Sounds obvious, often isn't. And again, same as line 1, in fact, your strategy starts with the requirements, not with the data warehouse. So it's the business questions that the business wants to ask that should be leading the development of your reporting content or your universes or your source queries. Don't just take what you've got as is and try to transpose that and force it through the wrong conduit. Just at the end of this deck here, I've included a link farm to some of the key resources that we like to promote and utilize in the BI analytics space. I'll let you check out these in your own time. They cover the education topics, upgrade topics, virtualization, sizing, roadmap. We've also got a microsite now that rolls up all of the above, and there's some other resources besides which will help steer your discussions. So that's me done. I've used up my allotted time. My name's Henry. I work for the Customer Experience Group. I'm on SCM. I'm also on email if you need to reach out to me.
I'd like to say thank you to everyone for your attendance, and thanks very much, Henry, for presenting. Again, this webinar recording will be available in a few days from the SCN page that I showed in the chat window, and other webinars in the series are also shown on this page. We'll be contacting you soon with the invitations for the next webinar. So thank you again, everyone, and this concludes this current webinar, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Cheers.